Okay, so good morning, guys. It's Colin Evans from the Asset Finance Shop, and today I'm joined by Mitch, Stanmore, and Karl Esber from Azora Asset Finance. Today we'll be talking about the asset finance industry, working with brokers, and the strategies that make Azora a standout lender in the market. So welcome, Mitch and Karl.
Morning, Colin.
Morning, Colin. Thanks for having us. Great to finally get together and have a bit of a sit down. We've always been to your office, you've been to ours, but it's good to get together formally and have a bit of a chat.
No, it's good. Thank you for having me. So I guess for the people out there, how about you summarize what Azora do in a nutshell? What is it that you guys actually do in business?
Absolutely. So Azora is a commercial lender. We primarily focus, obviously, that meaning self-employed. We focus on trucks, trailers, yellow goods, those types of assets that businesses typically use to fuel their growth. Lend from about 10,000 to 250K.
Unreal. And you're 100% broker introduced, is that correct?
Absolutely. So all of our business is 100% broker introduced, as you just said. We value our broker relationships. And we built very, very strong relationships in the network with our brokers, so we're pretty strong in that regard. And yeah, it is 100% broker driven. Awesome,
unreal. And how did you guys actually get started at Azora?
So it's an interesting story. Back in 2017, there was a consortium of Patrick Tuttle, David Holmes, and Phil Sullivan who bought the business as Little East back then.
Those guys are all ex-Pepper, right?
Yeah, except for Phil. Phil's he was the group treasurer of Virgin Money, but Patrick was ex-CEO of Pepper, and Dave was the ex-CEO of Pepper. So through our connection, or my connection through Patrick and David, I then joined in 2019. We rebuilt the brand, rebuilt the business, and then obviously hired Mitch in 2020, who came on board in 2020. And then that took us to where we are today. In 2023, we were acquired by the FSA Group. Obviously, that's then obviously backed us into fueling our business and our growth to where we are today. So as I said, Mitch joined in 2020.
Yeah, very exciting appointment for me. So I had a bit of a diverse background coming from broking, lending, more recently in aggregation. So joining Azora in the infancy of the business was an exciting challenge for me, but I'm extremely proud of what we've built in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, well, so all of my interactions with you have been positive.
Thank you.
But I mean, in your own words, why don't you just give me a little bit of, how you feel about this market and working with brokers and some of the biggest lessons you've learned so far, Mitch?
The current market, I think everyone would agree to be challenging. I think it comes down to the lead gens and the sources of businesses coming through. It is a challenging market, as we've said, and where we stand out, I think, would be about our speed and consistency and service for clients and brokers, really identifying where we want to play, what we want to buy, and drilling down on that. So if it comes to Azora, you work with a sales team, it's going back out as a yes. If it's a no, it's going to be a quick no. You've got direct access to our credit team, our settlements team. Throughout the whole process, there's someone with a finger on the pulse. So with us, really that tech-driven proposition and people-powered.
Colin, how about a little bit about your journey with Asset Finance Shop and where you are today and how you've grown your brokers?
Yeah, awesome. So Asset Finance Shop, we started basically trading full-time in the start of 2017. It's been a long road. We started, with just a couple of people. Obviously, the old story originally in the bedroom, but a couple of people above an old art gallery on Edgecliff Road. And then, we moved up to Bondi Junction about 4 years ago into the big office. And just recently, we've purchased a commercial building in Alexandria and we're about to move again. But yeah, look, obviously, I think we've done, maybe 3,000 to 4,000 loans or something and continuing to grow. So yeah, we've got our claws in the Australian market, so to speak. So you've been with Azora for a couple of years now. Can you tell me how the company's evolved?
Yeah, it's been a massive change for us. I think we've changed significantly and very quickly too. As I said, when we started off as the Little East business, doing smaller ticket items, we're now obviously going up to 250K. We've invested in our credit team over the years. We allow them to contact our brokers directly for two-way interaction. We've invested in technology. We've got one of our I believe one of the best-in-class broker portals out there to make it so efficient and so easy for brokers to submit deals.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I submit some deals. I was telling you guys before when you were making me a coffee. We submit some deals to lenders, and you can't speak to the credit analyst.
Yeah,
they send you an email, and then you try to ring through the team. You're on the phone for like 2 minutes before you hit their voicemail, and it's just you're just burning daylight. So asset finance is obviously like a fast-paced environment. We've got referrers trying to give us deals. I've got to maintain that relationship. I've got impatient clients, or I've got impatient vendors, people selling the gear. They don't care if the guy has to get a loan or not. They've got other guys calling up trying to pay them cash today for their truck type thing. And, you know, brokers, they do really need like speed to service and clear answers. So
Yeah,
when we get to deal with your guys' internal credit team, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we found is, like, they like to be heard. So obviously, we through our marketing team, we will do broker surveys regularly throughout the year. We do take on a lot of that feedback. So obviously, we encourage brokers to be open and transparent with us. And there's been a lot of changes that we've made just off the back of brokers that have given us some ideas or initiatives how they would prefer things to operate between Azora and them, and that's really been underpinning our growth as well.
Well, that's the best thing about Asset Finance Shop. We love to give lenders feedback.
Yeah.
And a few of them come to us when they've got some changes coming up to get some input.
Yeah.
We obviously, as you guys know, we have our internal credit team.
Yep.
So every deal is getting vetted by that team, before it leaves AFS. So the guys in the business kind of really know their stuff, We're doing more than 100 deals a month. So they're looking at more than 100 deals a month, and just all that repetition and that experience is kind of just unmatched by, a one person or two person or three person operation. So,
Yep.
If we ever have any issues or we need something confirmed, we're definitely going to reach out to lenders and try and see where they stand.
Yep.
And the best thing about our experience with Azora is that you guys, your goalposts are very fixed and you don't move them. And as soon as the ball's in the air, we know, that all the deals in the air, we know it's going to convert, and we're not going to be in a position where you guys don't know what you're doing. So hats off to you.
Yeah, no, great. Appreciate that feedback.
So, Colin, in your eyes, what would set Azora apart from other lenders?
So, Mitch, I've got a few bullet points on this one, mate.
Yeah.
All right. So, top to bottom, I'll read them out to you.
Yeah.
All right. So, one director guarantee, okay?
Yep.
So, one director guarantee, super important for brokers. And I'm just going to elaborate on this for people listening. So, basically, look, business is complicated. People are exposed to a lot of things. Life happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
There might be two directors in the business, the husband and the wife. Maybe they separate, or there could be some issue. A guy could get a truck repaired, and then 5 minutes later down the road, the truck blows up.
Yeah.
He gets into a blue with the repair shop. They put a default judgment on his file, and then it's all just too hard. The guy can't get money, and your client that's been great and with you for the last 2-3 years, you've done 5 or 6 loans for, is all of a sudden declined.
Yeah.
But they're not declined at Azora because you take one director guarantee.
Yeah.
So, in those situations where something hasn't been rectified, you guys are really flexible and can deliver a result for a client that needs something today.
Yep.
Next, you guys have no deposit for renters. You guys are pretty good at no deposit for renters.
Yep.
Look, there are some other lenders that do it too, but, I think you guys kind of almost do it the best. So you have your policy in place for no deposit.
Yep.
And people might ask, why is this important? All right. So, yes, it will expose, Azora to doing 100% lend for renters. But to a lot of people, especially in the environment at the moment, cash is king. And, people need cash flow.
Yeah.
And if you want to buy a 100K truck and you've got to take $20,000 of your $24,000 and spend it on a truck, you're going to be flying pretty close to the wire with your last $4,000 trying to make ends meet.
Absolutely. We're big on helping people keep working capital in their business as well. We think it adds a lot of value to people that are obviously renters are not having to ask for the deposit. If we feel the business is strong in other areas, that's good feedback.
So another thing you guys do really well is no age caps on trailers.
Yep.
So obviously, I've been doing, asset finance and transport for, 10 plus years now. A lot of guys prefer the older trailers because the quality of the steel that they're built with is actually better than the modern steel.
Yeah.
It's not, the compound isn't as pure as it used to be back in the day. A lot of it's like, diluted. So even though, these trailers are old, a lot of these older trailers are actually doing a fantastic job and will tow loads, and obviously they need to get the brakes and some other bits and pieces rebuilt on them, but like a rebuilt trailer from the 90s or early 2000s is just it's top notch, and to some guys that's the type of gear they want.
And I think that goes back to, again, what we talked about at the start when we asked for feedback, and you used to provide it back in the day, well, you still do. We identified that niche, and as you said, the assets still perform at the end of term where we want to play. So we identified that niche and adapted based off broker feedback. So glad you see that resonates with your market.
Unreal. So, and that's what doing business is all about, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So, Mitch, what sets Asset Finance Shop apart from other brokers in the market?
I think the key with dealing with Asset Finance Shop is once the deal's coming to us, submitted from your team, we know that it's a deal. As you touched on previously, you've got an internal credit team. They do their homework. They know exactly the space, where we play, what we want, what we're after. And as you mentioned, we've got our matrix, which is our goalposts, and we don't like to flex on that as much as we need to. So I think if it fits, we're going to buy it, and you guys understand that. easy to deal with, doors always open, always happy to provide feedback, whether it's honest, whether we need to hear it or we don't, you always provide it, which is fantastic.
If I can add to that, Colin, just from our credit perspective, it's good that your team does go to the effort of putting in some detailed credit notes to give us a bit of a flavour as what's happening behind the deal. It's quite important, as you know, because then that sets the deal up for the credit team to understand.
I think it's important to really understand your customer, and also, when you've done enough deals, you understand what credit want to know as well, and what they may ask. So instead of putting the deal up and waiting for them to ask the question, you want to try and answer that deal preemptively. Answer that question preemptively, and just make sure that when it comes to that deal, there are no more questions to ask. Basically, Azora is known for having strong relationships with its brokers. How does your direct line to credit and settlements improve your overall process?
I think for us, it's probably our biggest factor for trying to, as Mitch mentioned before, you've got a good conversion rate. It does have probably the biggest impact on ability to convert. On the settlement side, what's really great for us is the ability for also for brokers to contact our settlements team and just have a chat to them about, okay, so I've just got bio submitted, I've got proof of address submitted. Is there anything else that you need? I've got this certified. Is there anything else? Just keeping the document flow moving.
Because at the end of the day, it's just people dealing with people, right? And if you can't, like your customer's a person, the broker's a person, it's fantastic that you guys do have that level of communication, because at the, all we need to do is just communicate what's going on, what's required. And, like you said as well, also share that, those little tricks and tips along the way. Mitch, it's safe to say that you guys are really focused on service.
Absolutely. And I think to the point that Karl and both yourself have just discussed, that it really comes down to the people. It's people dealing with people. And from our inception, we've really focused on wanting to own that service proposition. We're focused with our people, and it's great to see that our credit team and our settlements team work with our brokers the way that our sales team do. We have genuine relationship with a lot of our broker partners, and when we're pushing deals, and they can see that it's now validated when they're on the phone and talking to you guys as well. You're getting the same message. Us as a business now, we're going to enhance that service proposition. It's being driven by our broker portal, Azora X, which is obviously market leading, and I'll take the time to give it a quick plug while I'm here. We're really pushing that.
Tell me more.
Jump on and have a look, guys. But it's direct access to credit. It's direct access to settlements. It's our internal broker support team. It's our relationship managers. It's real life people at the end of the phone dealing with you guys when you're dealing with your clients. So it's service proposition from beginning to end. We will enhance it. We do own it, and that's where we play. So jump on Azora X, guys, and have a look.
All right, so Mitch, you've obviously got your Streamline product, which is your flagship, but you've got 3 total products at Azora, is that right?
Yes, we've got our flagship Streamline product. So that's what the brokers are aware of at the moment, so I don't need to delve too far into that. But what we've done is enhance that Streamline product with speed and consistency via Azora X, which is our broker platform, and we've got a fast-track Streamline product. So that's talking about auto-approval, literally conditionally approved in a matter of seconds, pending invoice, final checks and balances.
That's unreal.
Before we move to loan docs. And the other one we've got there is Accelerate. So again, it's a full transparent criteria focusing on younger ABNs. So we're leading the market in that. It's a pure low doc, 6-month ABN, no bank statements, no deposit, no comparable credit.
Wow.
So very market leading, and I think we're going to drill down further in that space moving forward. So that's Fast Track and Accelerate. So again, talking about that consistency, certainty and complete transparency with our credit criteria on our matrix and in our servicing calculator on our broker portal. All right, Colin, so I've given it a few plugs at the moment. So Azora X, our broker platform, what's it like on a broker's side to actually utilise our portal?
Mitch is good. Azora X is good, yeah.
Fantastic.
Look, it's fast, it doesn't load. Some other portals can take a long time to load. We actually have a bit of a running joke inside AFS.
Yeah.
And the support team will actually time how long it takes them to submit a deal.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So you guys are right up there on the lower end.
Yeah.
Some of the other more archaic portals have a lot of loading time and thinking time, and there's no pre-population and stuff like that. So you guys are definitely ahead on the tech.
That's excellent.
So congratulations.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And look, I know it doesn't just, that work doesn't do itself either. You really have to kind of have a think about what it is that you guys like.
Yep.
Look, the real-time decisioning is unreal.
Yeah.
People to know straight away with the fast track stuff, is it a deal or not?
Yep.
People are going to go down to the dealership today. People are going to auctions today.
Yep.
People have called a guy and they're hot to go right now,
Yeah.
Like, we work in a sales environment. We need to try and close these deals and encourage these people to buy.
Yep.
We can't just sit back and process being brokers.
Yep.
The money doesn't come to you. You've got to go to the money too.
Correct.
It is sales at the end of the day,
Yeah.
and we need products and services that we can trust to deliver.
Yep.
And pretty much that's the proof of it right here. While we're in here today, just having a catch up and let everybody else know.
Yeah, fantastic.
Excellent.
Appreciate it.
Brilliant. Mate, a question for you. When you've got a deal as a broker that's sort of on the borderline between hitting the criteria, what are the key considerations as a broker when you're subbing the deal?
I guess a lot of it has to do with like relationships, and I guess relationships would deal with past interactions and how much area the lender may have in the grey.
Yeah.
Some people do have a policy, but maybe we introduce 20, 30 deals a month to a particular lender, and we call the guy up and be like, hey man, I never ask for favors. Like we're usually always on the money here. This guy's a little bit outside of the box, but he's good for X, Y, Z reasons. He's got all these other good things about him. Do you want to do us a solid and just kind of get this one across the line?
Yeah.
And with you guys as well, being commercially minded and just having that old school, kind of business mentality, and not just treating the brokers and the clients like a number. That would be something that I'd consider for sure, Karl.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you mentioned something important there where you said, do us a solid. Like, that's where, if we're getting good support from our brokers in terms of deal flow and the way they communicate with us, we communicate with them, that's where we're going to be looking to do those, those exceptions or those solids, as you called it before. So it's really important that the brokers, are supporting us, we're supporting them, and then that's where you're looking to do, sort of win those sort of deals.
And I guess that's what business is all about, right? Like,
yeah.
At the end of the day, I mean, I guess the common denominator here is people and relationships. So, you want to work with your brokers, you want to work with your customers, and ultimately we just want to deliver a result. All right, so Karl and Mitch.
Yes.
Man, look, that's a lot of valuable information for other people, and it's also good for us to kind of get together and speak about that. But I guess looking ahead, what does the future of Azora look like today?
I think for us, importantly, it's about continuing to accelerate our growth. We have been on a steep growth trajectory. We want to continue that growth. How we do that is investing, obviously, continue the investment in technology, which we've been focusing on in our conversations, Colin, as you know, and also the people. But also, it's just evolving the products as well. You're looking at where we can make more tweaks, where we can introduce new products that we feel niches might play in. But I think the most important thing too is obviously not losing sight of the broker relationship as well.
And I think the broker channel's very much at the forefront of the strategy moving forward. So as we mentioned at the start, there's a lot of data and analytics going in behind the background, but it's also based on the genuine feedback that we get from you guys. So it's imperative that we continue to share that and have those open channels of communication, because that really finesses when we get the data and we get the tech, the feedback, whether it's going to be accepted or not. That's obviously monument to what the direction will look like. So,
well, I mean, with your business, it's 100% broker introduced, right? So for you guys to grow your business, you need to keep working on those relationships with the brokers, and it's not just about being their friend, and going to golf. It's about can you actually get the work done? I think there's a lot of people want to have a good time and they don't want to actually deal with the ugly stuff. You know? And the ugly stuff and the boring stuff is what actually gets you paid and grows your business and helps other people. You know what I mean? Everyone can have a fun time, but doing what you don't want to do when it should be done is the most important part. So, hats off to you guys for staying focused and continuing to grow the business and listening to feedback, because there are some lenders we give feedback to that smile and nod and then never make a change.
Colin, for brokers who haven't worked with Azora yet, what should they know about working with us and what's the best approach to deal with Azora?
Mate, just really just first of all, read the policy. If the deal fits, submit it. And if you have any issues, you can call the credit team. No, but look, in all seriousness, you guys are kind of, one of the best in market to deal with. Mitch is always answering his phone, super easy to get a hold of, real personable guy. You can tell if you've made it this far through the through the video. But just look, give them a crack. And look, they've been a really integral part of our business to help us grow. Really helped us in that kind of, off the beaten track asset finance space. And I'm sure they can help your brokerage do the same.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So Mitch and Karl, thank you so much for sharing your insights today. It's been awesome to hear about Azora, and you guys have done fantastic things for the asset finance shop along the way. So, if anyone's got any value out of this, you guys know how to find them. I'm sure you're in the right space. And enjoy using Azora X.
Fantastic.
Great. Thanks for having us, mate.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Colin.
it. Well
Thanks,
done.
guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming in. So your lenders are more important than your customers. You end up doing more business with your lenders than you do with your customers. We've done hundreds of deals with our lenders. That they're obviously growing as we grow as well. Everyone has different pain points and bits and pieces that they're working on. So maintaining those relationships and that transparency is paramount.
Yep.
Also having people understand that you're on a journey as well. I think a lot of people in the big bank world like to look at everything as through a bank lens, like a hard yes or a hard no. They want all this broker introduced business, but then they don't want to deal with brokers or any of the issues that brokers have.
Yep.
We're dealing with the general public. Obviously we want to write as much business as possible. Our core messaging or underlying is, approve, right.
Yeah. Yep.
We're trying to make sales. We're in a sales business and we're trying to, convert for our clients.
Yep.
And that also comes with its challenges and different aspects that you're exposed to and business and so forth. Something, Mitch, I think, I remember some time ago we were having a conversation and I think you made some commentary around some other brokers maybe submit deals to you and then they don't settle.
Yes.
So other brokers in the market basically just submit customers everywhere to see if they can get them approved. And this obviously impacts your credit file, but then they kind of have no intention of actually settling. I think we had like a really high submission to settlement rate. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, one of the best conversion rates for our broker channel.
Which is quite strange because, other brokers in the market might just get an approval just to get an approval.
Yeah.
And then they might get it approved at 3 places at the same time.
Yeah.
And other brokers may use your credit team to actually do a discovery on their client. So instead of doing the discovery themselves, they'll submit the deal to the credit to see what they come back with, and then if it doesn't fit there, they'll try the next place. But that's obviously not, best practice for clients because every time they inquire, their score's going down.
Yeah.
That's right. You really need brokers that understand the competitive landscape, so what each other lender's differences are. So what we find sometimes is they might have maxed out with another lender. The broker hasn't looked into that policy and hasn't realised that and have shopped it there and then shopped somewhere else. And then that obviously impacts your client and their credit score, as you said, and then it'll come to us. We don't get that, obviously, with your team because your team's quite understanding what's happening in the landscape. So they know where to put the deal, which is important first time. Whereas some brokers, they might struggle to know where to put it because they're not understanding where the other lender's policy sits. So back to your point, it's really important that you know where that is and then obviously giving your client the best experience and not actually adversely affecting their credit score.
All right, Karl. Well, mate, that's bang on. You couldn't have said it any better. All right, so Mitch and Karl, thank you so much for sharing your insights today. It's been awesome to hear about Azora, and you guys have done fantastic things for the Asset Finance Shop along the way. So, if anyone's got any value out of this, you guys know how to find them. I'm sure you're in the right space. And, enjoy using Azora X.
Fantastic.
Great. Thanks for having us,
you.
mate.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Karl.
it. Well
Thanks,
done.
guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming in.